Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Ears to the East, where it is I supporting Trident, it is Benedict supporting Baby Metal, and it is Neon supporting both Lovebites and Wolverine, the new team-up movie no one knew they needed. Lovebites and Wolverine. I heard that was an interesting movie. Yeah, that was an interesting movie. Well, we're here to talk about Lovebites today because Lovebites had a new single come out. The single was called Unchained. Was it just me? This one caught me by surprise. I didn't see this coming. I mean, I knew they were recording, but I didn't know there was a song. It's just like, hey, there's a premiere in 24 hours. It's just like that. Did this catch you guys out?
It caught me a bit off guard. Yeah, and I know a lot of people in the community kind of sort of knew about it vaguely.
That sounds so precise.
Yeah,
I think there might be a song.
Yeah, that's basically how it works in my Discord. They're like, I think there's a premiere tomorrow. I'm not too sure.
People just keep on saying it until one of them's right. They go, I told you.
I told you so. Yeah. No, big shout out to Hades in my Discord. Actually, like the man's been an absolute saint for keeping me in the loop of like everything that's dropping.
Hades has been a saint.
Nobody told me what's wrong with my fan base.
There you go. Everybody go and bug Benedict.
Neon told me like 10 minutes before we started this video.
Before we did
quickly listen to the song.
It caught me by surprise. Like I said, I kind of knew the EP was coming, but I did not think they would drop something this early. I honestly thought they would drop like a music video or something like, the week before the EP's out or something. So like for me, this is like it's out next month, which is not too long, seeing like it'll be next month tomorrow, I think.
If anything, that makes it more normal, doesn't it? Because like artists usually like spoiler their singles like months ahead.
Yeah, so it was a nice surprise. I wasn't expecting it for at least another 2-3 weeks, to be honest. But they came, they saw, and they kicked ass.
But did you guys know that an EP will come next? I thought they will release a single probably as introduction for the album.
I thought it was going to be an album as well. I wasn't expecting an EP, but it's like the Lovebites EP.
They do have a lot of EPs, but still.
It's like the Lovebites EP 2. So, I mean, a lot of people in the comments under my reaction were talking about how it reminded them of like early days Lovebites. And I was trying to rack my brains back to when I first heard them back at the beginning of 2019. And like, because people were saying, oh, this reminds me of this video and this reminds me of that video. And I was thinking that, but I've got to be honest. Maybe like the diehard Lovebites fans would have really caught on to that, but to me, it just felt very much like it just felt like it came and it was like this one very solid video. Just everything about it felt really together. Like it was this really interesting and very bombastic kind of release.
Yeah, the influences, what you just said then is exactly what I caught on to for Judgement Reaction. I said in the best respect, this sounds like a very Mio inspired song without Mio actually being here. You've got those chugs, those blast beats as well going on, like very, very thrashy. Maybe not like as thrashy as maybe as they once were in their first EP. But the harkening back to that, the sound is very, very similar, if not like evolved, kind of like a version 2, like an EP 2.
We realized why they called their EP that.
Mind blown. So it was a nice song, I think, which harkened back to when they kind of first started. There was definitely some inspiration there, definitely some bits of playing that was like, I remember that. But also with that new kind of flair with the songwriting ability as well, and the family coming in now. But it was just a really nice blend, I quite like it.
Check which songs are even on the first Lovebites EP. Check Don't Bite the Dust, The Apocalypse, Scream for Me, Bravehearted. Okay. It's interesting. I didn't get so much of a thrash feeling from it, more like to me it sounded more old school, at least for Lovebites terms. Kind of felt to me like more of a old school song, like that one on the last album. What's it called? That one starts with
you're gonna have to like narrow that down.
No. Do you know what? No,
what's it called?
Let's let him cook. Let him cook.
Let him cook.
Then let me look it up. I won't. Ooh, Judgment Day, where are you? Here. Whoa. Stand and deliver. Shoot him
There
down.
we go.
There
Thank
we
you.
go.
That's the one I mean.
A lot of people did mention Stand and Deliver, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I can't-
Okay. So I'm not alone on that. I
No,
was
yeah,
wondering.
definitely not. Definitely not.
Go on.
I think
Yeah.
it's interesting because for a band who it's really weird because the thing that kind of stood out to me about this song is that we all know that Lovebites have made this whole sound out of, well, as you mentioned, Neil, like harkening back to old school metal. You know, they're very open about how they're influenced by a lot of the old school artists from, like, I guess really the like 70s and early 80s. But the funny thing is that this song felt old school to me in a very different way, because there's so many bands doing that old school metal sound right now that in a way it's become contemporary again. Whereas this song sounded old school to me more in a sort of a early 80s way, and it like had like sort of simps in the background. It had that big sort of arena rock style when you want kind of thing going on. I was like,
yeah, but that's
this
kind
song,
of what I
this song's
mean.
got a bit of 80s sass. Yeah, maybe that's what you were talking about there, Benedict, because it was like it felt like it had a bit of like a sort of 80s sass. And I gotta be honest, I loved it because it felt like it was such a it definitely felt like a Lovebite song, and yet it had this quality where it really felt like it could be like a crossover metal band doing a pop song kind of thing. You could definitely imagine people singing this in karaoke. You know, it's got that kind of vibe to it.
I'm glad you mentioned
yeah.
the Sims as well, because they were amazing layered over that song. I
Yeah,
had such a fun time listening to that.
I gotta say, really surprising because they start out with that strong synth sound. Kind of threw me off a little bit.
I was like, I kind of want more. And I didn't want to say it because it's such a lazy thing, I think, as a reactor to say like something comparison sounds like Dragon Force. But I had to say it in my reaction because I listened to it. I was like, oh, that sounds so like distinctly kind of like Howard just said, like early late 80s kind of power metal. And I was just kind of like, I'm loving it though. I think this is the type of song which is perfect on an EP. Because Judgment Day was so raw, so fast paced, so modernized, that I think I wouldn't say they would have got backlash if this was on an album, but I think they would have left a few people maybe disappointed, even as good as it.
I did get a couple of comments saying that it wasn't like heavy enough, and I was like, I don't know.
I was saying something similar in my reaction.
Point.
Yeah,
that felt like the point to me is like you got to
not that it's not heavy, and not that they decreased like the level of intensity, but somehow it didn't feel as like overwhelming as some of the stuff from Judgment Day, for example.
Yeah,
it kind of felt a bit toned down, even though I don't know really how they did it.
The mix was more
weird.
accessible. The mix was definitely
more.
more
The mix was lighter.
And maybe the drums, maybe a little bit less double kicks. Maybe
Well,
it's just a triplet feeling. I'm not sure.
Do you mind if I just quickly follow that up? Because I must say, and I point this out at the time, I say hands down MVP of that entire song. Fucking Haruna was the star of that song.
Yes.
Because for me, like just from the get-go, like the rhythm that she did in the verse, not only did it have that sort of delayed double snare thing that was happening towards the end of each like time round, you had that little thing going, but if you listen to it, she never just repeated the same thing. Each time was a little bit different. She had that little sort of quick sort of machine gun fill happening at the end, just sort of like quick double snare or something happening, but it was never just double snare. Sometimes it was on the toms. You know, she was moving around the kit, but she was keeping this slightly off balance rhythm happening, and it just meant that when the chorus came in, and the chorus comes in very suddenly and unannounced, which is kind of one of the fun things about the song. It's just like suddenly key changes out of nowhere and then into the chorus. What I loved about that is that when it came in, it was so well powered by the drum beat just like settling down and going full force. And that was just such a good choice, because like Haruna's done so many songs where she's been like doing like really interesting backing rhythms. And you know, being metronomic sometimes, but in this song, I felt like she powered so much of it just with like really clever rhythm work.
Yeah,
so
I agree. I think Haruna sometimes gets overshadowed by the likes of Miyako Midori, which is understandable because them two, like when they're on it as guitar players, it's really hard to match that energy or kind of like steer the limelight off them. And we all know, as much as we all love drummers, you know, drummers never get the attention and respect that they should deserve in any band. It's not just just Haruna.
Well,
everybody.
sometimes they don't deserve it. There are some shit drummers out there, and there are some drummers who are overly showy. Who
But you see, things like that doesn't help. This is why drummers have a bad name.
Let me help Neon. Haruna, definitely one of my top 3 favorite drummers of all time.
There we go.
I just think, as far as I'm concerned, I think the problem is this is a band where, and don't get me wrong, I understand it. They got a singer who's very powerful. They got like this guitar thing going on, and everyone loves the guitar. So everyone's always going to be about, oh, Miyako Midori, it's, they've even got their little M&M kind of like, name and everything. And then, of course, Fami, I mean, she's obviously got a reputation because the way she joined the band, and it's this whole interesting tale of her own. And, I can take that all to one side. As far as I'm concerned, the one person who made this song was Haruna. I mean, look, you needed the whole band, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, mention it.
The one person who was
Haruna was the
irreplaceable was Haruna in this for me.
Yeah, probably the one negative I probably took away from this song is I was actually like, one of the things I was really looking forward to was if this was like,
You're gonna say guitar solo.
No, I was gonna say Fami. I was really more
I wanted to get into that.
Because this EP is probably the first time ever that she's had probably full involvement with the songs. Now I know that she probably had full involvement with Judgment Day. She probably had a say, but that album was probably long in development before.
She was joining something that was already in creation.
That was already in motion. So in that respect, I was really looking forward to this, and I actually thought, and I said this in the reaction. I said my one nitpick is I feel like Fami was like really not present in this song, but maybe that was because Haruna, on the flip side, was maybe so good she stole the limelight on this song. So, and I'm actually kind of glad for that because
maybe we know what she can do, so I'm guessing this is all intentional. Maybe also to benefit that less intense style.
She definitely took a back seat in this song.
I think that's probably the phrase that is the most important. She took a back seat because I think the good thing about a really good bassist is they know as much when not to play as when to play. And I don't think she, maybe there are things she could have done, but I don't think she needed anything especially complicated. I didn't feel like the bass was lacking in the song, is all I'd say. Is there more she could have done? Maybe, but I didn't.
Also,
feel like
didn't really stand out. I agree with Neon.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to. I mean, it doesn't.
It doesn't have to.
Of course, obviously.
But for me, that was my one nitpick for that song was I would have liked to have seen a little bit more variation from Fami, or just a little 30-second or not even that 10-second segment, But she did what she needed to do, and I'm sure there'll be songs on this EP, which we haven't heard any of the rest yet, where she might go fucking ham, and we're all creaming ourselves because it's so good. So I'm excited for this EP. I've seen the comments as well. I've seen a lot of people like, oh, I really like this, and I've seen a lot of people like, it's missing that that grit to it, and I kind of agree. Like when I heard this, there's definitely a what's the right word I want to look, a lack of not energy, but a lack of I'm gonna.
It's not as raw and gritty.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not as raw and gritty as what Judgment Day was. But I still really like it. I'm like everybody else. It was nice. It was catchy. The chorus was really hooky, which is something I really got instantly singable as well. Like literally, I was singing that 2 seconds into my reaction. I was like, oh, it's so good. And if you can sing 2 seconds into a song, then job completed, mission complete. Fucking you've passed.
You got a single at very least, yeah.
Yeah, you've done well. So
I gotta be honest though. I think. Sorry, go.
No, I just wanted to say, if every song on this new EP would sound like this, then I would probably also agree and say there's maybe something missing for me. But I don't think it will.
This is why you experiment and put these type of songs on an EP though, because I think it's for an artist. The girls probably are so talented they want to do varying degrees of different music. But this is so kind of core different from what they're used to. You got the simps in there, Haruna kind of going ham. You got Miyako and Midori kind of taking a little bit more of a backseat than they usually do. Less technical, more power chords, which is kind of sort of very unlike them. But that filters into the song really well. Like the two out players of this was Haruna on drums, who is just amazing, by the way, MVP. I totally agree with what Howard said. But also Asami as well, who really comes in hard with the chorus, really catchy. So, the other members, they do take a little bit of a backseat to make sure that the song flows the way that it needs to. And it's not as hard. It doesn't come in as hard. It's not as maybe like technical prowess as we know Lovebites to be. But for a song that's a little bit different, and maybe the girls here are just like, hey, we want to do something a little bit different, a little bit creative. That maybe probably wouldn't fly on an album, then an EP is definitely the best place to put it.
But I would, I mean, I agree with your basic point that I think that ultimately variation is the key of this. Like you say, you wouldn't want any album or EP that was all one type of song. But I do think that you need songs like this, and I absolutely think that this song adds a nice variation. If you don't have songs like this, then you're missing something. So I think it's great from that perspective. I'm gonna go back. I often like bulk against this kind of thing, so I got to do it. I totally disagree with the idea that it's not as technical, because that seems to be something that people often say when something sounds more poppy. They say it's less technical. I'd say this is as technical as, probably even more technical than a lot of other Lovebites songs, simply because of the fact that it's not just relying on, I mean, a lot of Lovebites songs, the technicalities appear in very, where the technical bits are going to be. You know where to expect them. This has its technical bits.
Technical isn't just fast.
Yeah, when I say less technical, like in Lovebites terms, it's still fucking technical, but not as like the norm for them. Like,
no, I would say it's a different
less
type.
technical song is still like better than 95% of the bands out there.
I genuinely don't believe it's less technical, is my point. I think that it's a different type of technical. It's like, whereas kind of like what Benedict I think was alluding to there, is it's not so much about the fast and how difficult it is, how technical it's the fact that this is doing things like, I mean, that chorus is really clever. Like the key change in that chorus, the way it comes out, the way it appears out of nowhere, that's quite a technically interesting and clever decision. I mean, the chorus, until you're used to where to expect it, it kind of hits you around the side of the face. You don't see it coming. It really comes out of nowhere. The key change in it, it's very like interesting idea. Like I say, the rhythmic changes in this song are more complicated than are often employed by Lovebites. I think this song has a lot of technical things that I don't want people to overlook, because it's not as gritty, not as heavy. It's very technically interesting. This song's got a lot of stuff that I would really dive into and really say is worth analyzing about it on a writing basis. So I just think it's a different type of technical. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, harking back as well to, like I said, a lot of people saying obviously what we said before about the inspiration of going back to their first EP. Which was was a lot like this. So the obvious inspiration is there. I wouldn't say it's a different style. There's different genre, but I wouldn't say it's a different genre, but it definitely is a different style. But it still sounds so good, and I like it. And also, I'm addicted to simps now. Like I want more simps in my Lovebites song.
Get him on the Future Funk again. You'll get him this time.
I don't think so.
I want to see a clip of Miyako, tapping the guitar while doing a funky synth beat on a.
That one song. It reminded me of that one song with, again, how is it called? Where she's using the keytar.
Yeah.
Actually, reminded me a lot of
I'm just
that
imagining Silent Siren now. I apologize. I've gone to a very different place.
But talking about technicality, I wanted to ask, and Howard, you mentioned this before, guitar solo. What did you think of the guitar solo section?
Myself, I mean, as a general, I think that the formula that Lovebites use for guitar solos, I quite like. I mean, as you guys know, I'm not a big fan of just guitar solos for the sake of it. I think that people who just want there to be a guitar solo because guitar solo, I think that's a really lazy form of writing. But I think that when Lovebites do it, it tends to be interesting. I mean, they tend to go one person
probably
back to the other
instrumental section.
Yeah, it does feel more like an instrumental section rather than just an arbitrary guitar solo. And often there's like interesting arpeggios in there that build up rather than just twiddling for the sake of it. They have a style that to me feels like it feels more classical than anything, which is a lot of Miyako's favorite. Here, I got to be honest, this one to me, it felt like it felt good. It wasn't particularly. It wasn't one of their most exceptional guitar solos. It certainly captured everything that makes their guitar solos usually work. You know, there's a little bit of to and fro, and then they came together, and it built up, and a lot
Was
of
it
the
really
usual
like
thing.
that?
But it just,
Because I will
a
have to
little
listen
bit.
to it again, because to me it just sounded like they were playing together the whole time.
Yeah, that they kind of did. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, there
And
wasn't
that's
really
to
the.
me is something actually kind of different and new for Lovebites, because they don't
But,
usually do that. They kind of always have some constellation of one guitarist, second guitarist, and then together.
okay, so
I, to me, that was surprising.
it was more like they jumped to the chase. It's like they got straight to the point. I mean, so you know, it was kind of like an abridged version of what we're used to hearing from them. I didn't think it was like the best guitar solo I'd ever heard from them, but it was good. It was nice. It was enjoyable. wasn't especially a wow guitar solo. It was just, yeah, they're good guitarists who do good like dual guitar work, and that's what it sounded like. But yeah, it certainly didn't stand
solos
out.
confirmed.
It's, you know, for me, I don't really care what you put in a song, just as long as it works in the arrangement. The only thing I care about is the arrangement. Everything else is like whatever technique you use is just the technique. So, do you need a guitar solo? No, you don't. You don't need anything. You don't need anything at all. All you need to do is write the song, and then once you've written the song, then you decide what techniques are involved.
Spoken like a true producer, taking the fun out of everything.
Yes.
No.
Exactly.
Adding the music into it for all of the people who are sitting there nerding out, going, "Well, I can't play this, and this has got this particular amp head, so I know music's good, and this has got this degree of distortion." It's like, it's fucking music. Enjoy the music, and don't. If you're nerding out over equipment and stuff, that's all fine, but it's not the point. That's just a layer. Enjoy the music first, and that's what I'm talking about.
That's true. But I think, yeah, I think there's a lot more to be said about guitar soli. Maybe we have to do another separate episode.
Guitar solos are very interesting. I just think that they are one of a million techniques, and they're, of all the many techniques you can throw in to add an interesting thing to a song, they're the one that is used perhaps the most, and a lot of that is down to the fact that people love to go, "Look at my favorite
Okay,
band,
maybe
they do awesome
then
guitar solos."
let's say, how did you like this instrumental section?
Yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons why, for me, I tend to find Lovebites solos more entertaining than most other bands, is because they feel like genuine instrumental sections. They build up, they take you from wherever the bridge begins to wherever it ends. It's usually a build up with their stuff, and yeah, so I like it. This was not like a wow, their best one, but it took the formula that they're used to. It worked. It did the job that they're used to doing, and yeah, it was a good guitar solo.
I wish
You know,
we
to
like
someone who actually likes electric guitar soli, Neon.
I always feel like the guitar solos and the bites are always so well done. It feels like, for me, like the unwritten sixth member of the band. Like, you know, it's just part of the core experience with Lovebites. But like Howard said, you shouldn't ever have like a solo in a song
Guido Riaco.
just for it to be a solo. There needs to be a reason to have that guitar solo in. There needs to be like some structure, some consistency. You need, you know, if you have a solo in a song and it doesn't add anything to it, or it subtracts and pulls you away from like the flow of a song, then the solo shouldn't be in there. The one thing that I really like about Lovebites, and I do realize I can put my hands up here and say I'm coming from a very biased.
You got a bit of Neil deGrasse Tyson there.
Yeah. Black holes.
The reason why I didn't flinch.
Yeah. Forgot what the fuck is saying. But yeah, the one thing about Lovebites is I never get bored. Never get bored with their solos. So one of the reasons why, like, I harken back to bands like Guns N' Roses with Slash. Like, every solo he does is iconic. Or Metallica. Like, every solo they do is so unique and it's memorable because it's so different. And Lovebites are like that with me. Maybe not as extreme as those two examples, but it just works. And I look forward to every time them two are
Not Todd Howard like.
No, no, no. I think Howard has some points.
There's this Todd Howard meme. It just works.
It just
He's the
it just works.
Bethesda CEO, and
Oh
he's a
God,
gaming
I've just
CEO,
cursed
and he always
Lovebites
says
now.
like on presentations, it just works,
Just
and then the game
works.
is full of bugs and like completely
Yeah, I
broken.
was gonna say, has he played it? Fucking Bethesda game in like 25 fucking years?
No, that's why I'm explaining it to Howard.
Howard's just like,
But the guy
Yeah,
is
I was
called
about to say
Todd
that one.
Howard.
Oh, okay. So it's nothing to
Yeah.
do with me.
No,
Okay,
no, it's
right.
got nothing to do with you.
Oh, my
But,
my ego rejects this meme.
but yeah, I really like the style. I really like this song. I'm interested to see where the EP comes from. I'm more interested to see if this is gonna kind of harken back to what we were talking about before, like whether or not there's going to be like a running theme, or they're going to try and keep this EP like the same, or they're really going to go out and have some fun with this and maybe do some different style songs for the EP. And
But
I hope it's the latter.
How many times have we had like groups or bands or stuff do this where they've like said, "Oh, we're gonna do like a part two to a previous release," and you kind of know that their heart's in it, but it never sounds like a part two to them. It always sounds like them trying to capture it, but it's because you can't. I like the idea of part twos, but I've just never quite understood why anyone thinks that's going to work, because you're not the same people you were when you made that first one, and often for good reasons. You know, often you've grown. You know, the emotions and things that were fueling you are not the same ones that are fueling you now. I mean, to really do a part two, you have to find yourself emotionally back in the same place. You have to be emotionally feeling the same things you were, because that's what fuels you to write the most important part of the song, which is like that feeling that comes across.
The only person I know that's done that successfully and made a career out of it was Meatloaf. Like he made a career out of Bat Out of Hell Part 1, 2, and 3. Like he lived off that for 60 years, man.
Do you know what? Whenever anyone says Meatloaf, all I think of is him in Fight Club. That's the image that comes to my mind.
That's him in The Pick of Destiny.
Oh,
yeah.
The father.
Jesus loves him more.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
there's a bomb. He pulls the strings.
I remember seeing that movie when it came out. I have not seen it again since. It was a passable movie. It was a passable movie. Oh, okay, fair enough. It was a passable movie as well, I guess.
You know what? It was one of those movies in my youth where you used to watch it with your mates and have some special.
In my opinion, one of the
special flavored brownies.
In my opinion, just one of the best music movies that exists, because there's a lot of very good Tenacious D songs in this movie.
But for me, like the Tenacious D thing was that first album, the one that made them famous. That's the one that I remember everyone passing that around when I was young. I think I was in school when that came out, and everyone was passing that round, and everyone would like have a bootleg copy on a CD. I was like, "Oh, you got to listen to this," and you listen to it like, "Oh, is this the album?" It's like most of this is talking. It's like this. It's like no music.
Remember, it wasn't the greatest song in the world. It was just a tribute.
Just a tribute.
Oh my word, yeah. Everyone learned how to play that.
It's a shame. We've had rumors of a Tenacious D movie 2 for like quite some time now, and apparently that was in the works. But I don't think that's happening anymore.
I don't think we should be talking about the future of Tenacious D.
Yeah, also see some dubious posts.
I think we should probably only talk about.
Let's get back to Lovebites.
Yeah, I don't think the D will rise again.
Basically, what happens when you have the Japanese?
He's too old to rise again.
Yes, back to Lovebites. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to this EP. I wasn't expecting to get teased this soon, but I'm enjoying it, and hopefully we get a steady flow leading up to the EP's release.
But do you guys feel like when you listen to this song, and it's always hard to judge from the first song. I mean, it's impossible to judge. Do you kind of like listen to this and do you feel like, oh, I'm excited, Lovebites are developing? Or does it feel to you like there's something where they're trying to recapture an old sound? I mean, I know it's not going to be an accurate description, but what is the feeling you get when you hear this song about what Lovebites are trying to do?
For me personally, it feels like more of a harkering back, a reflection, a honoring like their beginnings a little bit, kind of harken back. And again, I think an EP is the best source to do this. I'm excited. I don't look at this and think, oh, the Bites have lost their edge. Like maybe if this was an album, like Benedict said, and like if this was on an album, I might be a little bit concerned if the whole album was like this, and I'd be a bit worried. But on an EP for a song that I know has inspiration in prior work, and I'm harking back to this, I don't really have a problem with it. I'm not worried. I'm just enjoying it for what it is.
What do you think, Benedict? Do you think it says anything about their direction?
I don't put too much into the future just from this song.
Oh no, this is just subjective, like just subjective mind farts.
I actually got a bit excited just because I felt some changes to some of their typical stuff. Even though it's not actually like my favorite type of song by them, or like this older classical, more like you said, 80s style. That's not really my favorite
ironically
style.
newer
I like
than
the more
style they're
modern,
usually
more
referencing.
intense.
It's ironic because the style that you're referring to as modern is them referencing something older in actuality. But
yeah,
I must admit, I mean,
No, but I got a bit excited, like when I heard. That's why I was asking about the soli part, because to me that was something where I was listening and was like, okay, that kind of sounds new to me. So that kind of got me excited to hear more of their new stuff and just to see what they will switch up.
Okay, I mean, to me, it felt more like just sort of like a bite-sized version of what they'd already done before, rather than a reinvention of their solo style. Which, yeah, that's kind of interesting. I mean, a few people have mentioned in my comments, I don't know how true this is, but like how Lovebites are planning some fairly big touring in the US in the near future. And I get the feeling that when I listen to this, I got the feeling this was just like them saying, "Hey, let's try and do something just really accessible, something that we think is going to really just sort of like win people over." And yeah, I mean, a lot of people, the minute you say anything like that, they think, oh, you're saying they're selling out. It's like, no, sometimes you can just do a crowd pleaser. Sometimes you're like, let's write a crowd pleaser. And to me, this just felt like a band who were like, let's write a crowd pleasing anthem where we can go play in front of a bunch of foreign folks who are going to get up and going to go.
I think that's
let's do that.
I think that's a really, really good tactic. The one thing we've all said is like the promotion for the Bites fucking sucks compared to like Bandmade or even Nemophila or whatever. Like, I don't know who is doing the promotion for the Bites, but it is fucking awful. They do not get the reach they probably deserve. So if they're planning to do like a US tour, like I can't even begrudge them with that one, but mostly because they came to Europe first. Love you. But
that's when you're talking about how good Bandmade's promotion is.
Oh,
it's like, half a decade.
Yeah, no, let's not go there. Yeah, you and the cheap seats there just because you got to see them the other week. You bastard. But yeah, I feel like if you're gonna do that and you're gonna go and try and crack the US and it's all kind of aligned on a big tour, then yeah, I got no issues with that. Every band does it. I think you need to in this day and age, and like we've already said, like the band's promotion fucking is criminally bad.
Well, I do wonder. I mean, to play devil's advocate to a point, I wonder how much, because I follow Lovebites with a sort of a fairly casually, and I wonder how much of it is really that their representation is bad, and how much of it is just the fact that what they're doing is kind of very old school metal, and maybe there is just a very niche market for it. Maybe it's just not something that has the same mass appeal, and so releasing a song like this, I'm not saying it's going to change the world or anything, but releasing a song like this that's probably a little bit more accessible is probably just a way of them, maybe broadening their, bringing in people who otherwise wouldn't have been drawn to their normal material and sort of like bringing them in, and so I wonder, if a part of it is just that they are a very niche old school metal style, and as much as they're bringing it to a new generation, you can't necessarily, you can't always bring a horse even to water, let alone make them drink.
I do think that you made a very good point about being more accessible. I feel like
thank you.
When they go in lighter to make it more accessible for casuals, I personally, and again, I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on it, but I would take it the other way. I would appeal more to the metalhead crowd because they're the ones that are really going to listen to you and are more passionate and more.
I just think that again, that phrase casual is an assumption. Because like there's plenty of I get what you're saying. I know there are a lot of passionate metalheads, but there's also a lot of people who are into more contemporary styles of metal who want to hear metal that sounds a little bit more polished, updated, new sounding. Again, this is nothing against Lovebites. It's just that, you know, there is maybe other parts of the metal audience who want to hear a slightly more sheen sounding, you know, punchy, accessible, concise song.
For sure, for sure. And we'll see the benefits of that, not straight away, but like probably
Maybe.
in a year's time, maybe. Yeah, exactly. That's the big thing. We'll see if they've made the right decision, see if they've made the right choice to go for the audience that they're probably targeting, or whether or not they do this tour in the US. And we'll see it all come to fruition. And hopefully they made the right choices, the right calls, the right promotion.
I mean, it's not like they suddenly came out of a reggae song, you know. I mean, this
yeah,
that's true. But I think you both kind of said a lot of true things here. But to me, this song, like I said, it's more of an old school song. And I think apart from that that I forgot the name again. God damn it. What is it called?
Unchained.
Stand and Deliver.
Oh, Stand and Deliver. We'll go back to that one. Jesus Christ.
Stand and Deliver. They don't have too many songs like that, I would say. So to me, it's just, maybe even reaching more for that more old school fan base than, because to me, they are kind of have that old school style, but deliver it in a very modern, very intense way. And I think some old school fans, they don't really like that. So maybe they are trying to grab those kind of fans that are not really on board with the modern direction.
I feel like they need to be really careful here, because I feel like Judgment Day was so well received, like to just instantly kind of go back on that. I think they're tipping on eggshells just a tiny little bit.
I am going to be the person who comes through and kicks all your fucking eggshells out the window. No, do you know what? Comfortable is never the place you should be. Fuck comfortable. It's like, if you did something and it works, that's exactly a good reason to say we did it. Let's do something different next time. Fuck yeah. Break them eggs. Smash them eggs. Let's have a fucking.
I also think that consistency is key though as well. You don't change straight away from one album to the next. I feel like that
it's not that big a change though, is it? Come on, you guys. I know you guys are metalhead.
I totally agree with that.
Is it really that different? Is it really that different?
Because Neon, before you said like you would be concerned if it's on an album. Like I wouldn't say, even if they have a whole album with songs like this, maybe not my favorite, but it's still amazing.
It's still good. Like bad Lovebites is still good. Like bad Bandmade is still great Bandmade. You know, even the worst of these bands are still pretty good compared to like the magnitude of other different bands.
He said the word bad. He's only got 2 minutes to rectify that.
What? Me? You must have misheard.
Yeah, that's because Benedict's to the bone.
Just too hot, man.
I know. He's the bad boy of the group. I'm sweating buckets. I'm turning more red the more this.
Tell me, guys.
Dude, I'm so sweaty. You don't believe it.
What do you want? What do you want?
What's he doing?
What do you want?
He's pulling invisible weights and it still looks.
I don't know. I want
you
to tell me what you want.
Anything you want. Anything you want.
All right, well, we're ending this here. Like, fuck that. No, Howard made it fucking
just
weird.
Kind of breathe heavily.
Yeah, Jesus fucking Christ. Benedict, let's ignore him. If you enjoyed this chat, we'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments as well, so let us know. Let us know what you think about the new song. We've rambled a little bit, probably gone a little bit off topic, but I think we've hit some good points. Let us know if you agree, disagree. Don't forget to like and subscribe in this video as well. And always remember to keep your ears to the east.
Oh, that was quicker than I expected.
See you guys next time. Howard, shut up!
Howard, man, what's up?